All right, y'all, what's going on? Goofy Rexy here, and hope everybody is doing well. And you're gonna be in this video here in sort of the aftermath of the information that came out in the blog post yesterday. Was gonna be yesterday for you. I'm actually doing this video the day of, but Rogue's ability change is huge, right? So they mentioned this in the blog post. If you haven't seen it already, Rogue ability correction. Last week's blog contained a couple of errors with Rogue's ability text. We incorrectly stated that Rogue's special ability Gloves Off has an energy cost of 2-2. The actual energy cost is 6-6. Her special ability was also missing the final line, stating that this attack is unavoidable and also cannot be blocked. So wanted to kind of talk about this and sort of give my thoughts towards this here and just kind of how I feel about the entire thing. And I got a couple points that I want to get through here. The first thing for me is that I personally kind of feel a little bit disappointed, right? I sort of have to mourn. I mentioned this in the Discord. I was just like, I kind of have to mourn the loss of Rogue and what my expectations of her were going to be, right? And a lot of you guys saw the video that I made. Some of you guys saw the video I made last week where I talked about, both Gambit and Rogue being Doom Raid replacements and potentially being, using them with Iceman and Beast and Jubilee, and it's how strong those characters were going to be. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that her special was just so amazingly broken, right? When you take a look at it, the ability block, the trauma, the slow, the defense down, and they have gone back and they've changed the old blog post to actually read energy cost 6 out of 6. But just to show you, when I did do that video, it did have that 2-2 energy cost there when I did that last week. But yeah, I mean, it's still an amazing kit. But I do want to say that I kind of have to mourn the loss a little bit, right? My expectations were that Rogue was going to be a plug and play or a great character in these Doom Raids. Although I still think that she is going to have a place in Doom Raids as probably being a part of that boss node, maybe using her with Gambit, or if you wanted to use Omega Red, right? Because she does have an ability block, she does have that trauma, so therefore she's still going to be usable, but the cost is higher now, so she's not really going to be viable for multiple nodes in these Mutant Doom Raids as sort of a plug and play character there. So kind of had to mourn the loss of whatever my expectations were. There were a lot of videos that were put out about how good Rogue would be and just how broken her kit was, and I guess they just kind of felt like, because they said it was a mistake, but in a lot of ways I kind of feel that they kind of just decided to change some things. But that's just my personal feeling. There's actually no merit to that whatsoever. I have to go by based on what they said. There were a lot of players who also upgraded their Scourge characters, right? So Young Avengers or A-Force or Inhumans, they were putting a lot of heavy investment into these characters because there was an expectation that Rogue was going to be so good and so dominant and probably be able to be used in multiple areas of the game because of that low energy cost with her special. So just some disappointment with a lot of players that currently did that, and that portion of it definitely does feel bad. So a lot of players are just like, okay, well, right now I am going to sort of pause on my famine investment. I'm going to pretty much basically just shoot for a 5-star. I know personally myself, I was going to be shooting for a 6-star Rogue, but I'm kind of pausing a little bit on that now. I'm taking a step back and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get CM and J to the gear tier 12. I already got Black Bone and Yo-Yo to level 80. I was going to bring him up to G15, but I'm going to leave him at 14 now. And wherever my Young Avengers are, I may still bring up Echo and maybe America Chavez to 85 and 15. They're already at 14. We may do that, but it's going to all be up to what the Scourge event itself looks like, because I feel like I'm going to be okay with a 5-star character, and some of you guys are probably just going to be okay with a 3-star character. Either way, her kit is still good, but we kind of just have to mourn the loss of what we think this would have been and how amazing this could have been based on just the changes that were made. But then my second point really overall is this was kind of deceptive and slimy a little bit, right? Just a tad bit, right? Because the blog post went out last week. The blog post isn't just created on a Friday, right? The blog post, I think Zeeks has mentioned this before, that the blog post is usually prepared like in the beginning of the week, and then after some time, like people have to approve the blog, right? So one would have assumed that the devs would have had to have approved and seen the 2 out of 2 and then approved that, right? So how in the world could they not have caught that before that information was then sent out? And then how did they not catch it after the blog was then sent out? And why do we have to wait a week before we got an updated information and change in regards to what was going to be happening to Rogue here. That portion of it feels really bad to me. And I'm like wondering, is there like a break in communication? Is it that the devs do not see the blog? Is it like, I feel like that's hard to believe. Is there, how do they go up? What's their process now in regards to kind of how they do this? And then also, it kind of does feel a little bad that Phantom X was released last night, or released right before the blog post happened, right? So players who had this expectation for Rogue to be really dynamic and probably just thought the team was going to be really OP, although she's still going to be good. I want to continue to say that Rogue is still going to be good. The kit's very strong. Like the basic is very strong. The ultimate is very strong. They are still going to be, she's still going to be good. It's just that you release Phantom X and you didn't release the information before. So did you release Phantom X because you thought it was going to drop the sales and you didn't want to say what was going to happen with Rogue first before you did that? It's a weird way to go about it. Now we're speculating, but it doesn't look good, right? From a PR perspective. So that's kind of all I'm saying. And somebody's mentioned it's falsely advertising, right? You're falsely advertising a character. You have expectations for a character, and then you're kind of left with sort of kind of like this downfall of now we kind of got to pick up the pieces, right? Like I said, we have to mourn the loss of what Rogue could be. Yes, she's still going to be great, but she's not going to be as good or as usable in certain areas as we thought. I was thinking about Dark Dimension. I'm like, oh my God, she's going to be great in Dark Dimension. 2-turn cooldown. This is going to be great. But now, you know, I'm like, well, yeah, I guess like if I'm thinking about investment and resources, sure, it makes more sense to bring in the new legendary horseman. But also with her, it being a 6-turn cooldown, it just feels different. It's still good. It just feels different than what it was before here. And then somebody brought this up too, community trust. Like, where are we right now? And I'm going to ask you guys, I'm curious, like, where do you guys stand as a community in regards to your trust with Scopely? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, where I kind of stand, I've kind of stopped trusting Scopely a long time ago. Every now and again, I'll see something, I'm just like, oh, that looks cool, right? Like last week I said, oh man, they said that they're gonna make characters farmable. I'm kind of like, we'll see. You know, that's kind of just where I am with a lot of things. And I know a lot of you guys will probably be in the same place as well. I'm just kind of like, it sounds good. You know, I remember, you know, growing up and one of my jobs and one of my managers used to say, you know, meaning well and doing well are two different things. And I think a lot of the times, I think Scopely kind of does mean well, maybe, but them actually doing well, those two things they're two different things. And I think that's kind of where Scopely is. It's like, they may mean well, but they definitely don't always do well. And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't really trust them. I haven't trusted them for a long time. Where do you stand? Do you trust them? Like, do you believe anything when they say that they're going to do it, when they say that they're all about the players, when they say that they're, you know, this is another question. Do they actually care about the player base? Do they care about the community? Because there's a lot of things that we bring up as complaints and I just don't feel as if though they actually are paying attention to, and they're actually making some concerted efforts to making some things better. Now, there are definitely a few other areas where I've seen them make some improvements. So I do want to acknowledge those, and I've acknowledged those before. But for something like this, we got to be able to trust your word that when you put information out about a character kit, and the character kit's going to work the way it's supposed to, and then essentially kind of nerfing it and then not communicating that information beforehand, before a blog post, before people started to invest into their roster, that is something that really does feel bad. Just kind of dropping it in a blog post here as kind of like one of the last things that you talk about. Not great, or sort of in the middle of some of the stuff that you talk about here. Not good, in my opinion. And this is something that they definitely need to look at and they need to maybe change their communication, right? Devs need to look at the blog posts. Devs need to see the information that's being sent out there. Why? This is a massive change. How is 2-2 and 6-6 even close, right? That doesn't make any sense to me, which makes me feel as if though they kind of just saw that it was really OP, saw how people were really excited about it, and then that's when they decided to change it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm too conspiracy theory, but let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I'm going to end it here. I'm just overall disappointed. I'm disappointed for a lot of us. I really was looking forward to Rogue. She's a massively iconic character. I'm still going to try to get her for sure, at least 5 stars on her. I'm not going to go as hard as I was going to go before. I think still think she's going to be a great character. but this is something that definitely does change the dynamic of how she's going to be able to use in the game, and that's something that they definitely should understand and know moving forward here. You can't do stuff like this. You can't promise this and then kind of fail to execute on those promises, or just change it last minute. It just doesn't feel good. But listen, guys, appreciate you watching the video. First time coming here, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so that you know when the videos do go live, guys. Appreciate you guys very much. Leave it in the comments. Want to know what your guys' thoughts are as well. Until next time, y'all be blessed. Y'all be safe. Bye.